The brainstem is the most densely packed neuroanatomical crossroads in the human nervous system. Every sensory signal ascending from the body and every motor command descending from the cortex must pass through a corridor barely thicker than your thumb. Because of this extreme structural density, even a microscopic vascular lesion or tumor here can sever multiple adjacent pathways, resulting in catastrophic and highly varied clinical deficits. The standard approach in medical education is to memorize the cranial nerves as a linear list, from Roman numeral I through 12. But for clinical neurology, rote memorization of this sequence offers almost no diagnostic utility. It treats the nerves as abstract items rather than physical structures. This diagram shows an alternative model, treating the ventral brainstem as a precise topographical map. The physical exit points of these nerves provide exact spatial coordinates. The thick fibrous bands visible on the surface are merely the delivery cables. The actual computational centers generating those signals, the cranial nerve nuclei, are hidden deep within the brainstem tissue. By analyzing the physical site of a nerve's emergence and its specific embryological origin, a clinician can predict both its hidden internal nucleus and its functional domain. Relying on anatomical memorization produces a student who can recite names. Relying on functional localization produces a diagnostician who can pinpoint a stroke. Look strictly at the brainstem proper. By stripping away the cerebrum and spinal cord, we isolate the core infrastructure. The exact physical site where a cranial nerve exits acts as a specific z-axis coordinate on this vertical map. Beginning our descent from the top, the midbrain serves as the highest coordinate level. Directly below it, the pons forms the dense bulbous middle coordinate tier. Finally, the medulla oblongata serves as the lowest topographical tier before the structure transitions into the cervical spinal cord. There is a direct ventral to dorsal relationship at each level. An external nerve root visible on the front surface points directly backward, like an arrow, to its specific motor nucleus deep within the tegmentum. These deep nuclei are entirely segregated by function. They are arranged in strict longitudinal columns based on what type of tissue they control. The surface of the brainstem is a highly predictable grid. Once you know the external coordinate, you have successfully indexed the internal cranial nerve nucleus. Applying this spatial logic, cranial nerve 3, the oculomotor nerve, emerges from the midbrain. Nerve 4, the trochlear, wraps around just below it, and nerve 6, the abducens, emerges lower at the pontomedullary junction. Despite exiting at different spatial coordinates, all three nerves share a single somatic destination, the extraocular muscles controlling the physical movement of the eye. This unified function is dictated by an embryological axiom. These structures develop from Pre-otic Myotomes. These are primitive blocks of embryonic tissue located directly anterior to the otic vesicle, which eventually becomes the inner ear. Because the nuclei for nerves 3, 4, and 6 derive from the exact same preotic tissue, their somatic motor functions remain permanently bound together. Understanding this preotic origin allows you to group these nerves as the dedicated ocular system. You no longer need to memorize them as isolated facts. Shifting focus down to the lowest topographical tier, we examine the medulla oblongata. Here, cranial nerve 12, the hypoglossal nerve, emerges from its ventral sulcus. Note its extreme caudal location near the base of the skull, standing in sharp physical contrast to the cranial location of the ocular group above it. The hypoglossal nerve has a singular, specific target. It supplies all the intrinsic and extrinsic muscles of the tongue. This lower system is governed by the embryological counterpart, the postotic myotomes. These are the primitive somites that develop posterior to the otic vesicle, physically separated from the preotic tissue. This posterior origin point strictly dictates the hypoglossal nerve's biological destiny. It ensures the nerve is completely dedicated to controlling the tongue's bulbar motor system. Preotic tissue creates the ocular system. Postotic tissue creates the bulbar system. By tracking the embryology, you map the functional components of the brainstem without requiring rote memorization. Returning to the fully integrated view of the ventral brainstem, we can apply this structural logic to clinical localization. Consider a patient presenting with an acute, highly specific somatic motor deficit. Imaging reveals a localized vascular infarct, an area of dead tissue caused by restricted blood supply, occurring exactly on the ventral surface of the pons. Based on the topographical grid, this pontine lesion disrupts the exiting fascicles of cranial nerve 6. Because external roots point back to their internal source, this localizes the primary damage directly to the abducens nucleus. Applying our embryological rule, CN6 is a preotic derivative. Therefore, the resulting deficit will be strictly ocular. The patient will present with an inability to abduct the affected eye outward. Equally important is deducing what remains intact. Because cranial nerve 12 is a postotic derivative located lower down in the medulla, its pathways are completely spared by this pontine infarct. The patient's tongue and bulbar functions will remain perfectly normal. Clinical mastery of the cranial nerves requires looking past a simple numerical list. By internalizing the embryological origin and spatial topography of the brainstem, you gain a rigorous, logical framework for mapping the human nervous system.